What's going on, guys? Thanks for coming to Politics and Life. This is Jordan. Hope you're all having a blessed day. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I hope you guys can hear my audio. I've been having a lot of issues with my microphone today, or actually not just today, the last 2 days. So I hope you guys can hear what I'm saying. Today we're reacting to a brand new interview. JD Vance, man, let me tell you, I was not a big fan of him at first, but these past few weeks, I've really gotten to know him more, heard his story, seen it on Netflix. Really good guy, and he's really smart. He's really good at responding in regards to left-wing media, doing those gotcha moments. And today just proves exactly why Trump picked him for VP. I wasn't a big fan of him. He wasn't my number one choice. But now, the more I hear him speak, the more I hear him debate and go on these fake news shows like CNN and MSNBC, the more I love him and support him. So it's America First all day long. We are going to react to an interview that JD Vance went on this morning with fake news propagandist Dana Bash on CNN, and she gets absolutely destroyed. She tries to talk about the Haitian migrants and get those gotcha moments, but he doesn't back down. And I absolutely love that he's not going to put up with this. He's not going to put up with these little gotcha moments, these little, oh, it's not true, even though we've seen people come out talking about it being true in regards to the Haitian migrants. A lot of people don't even know they come from a country that has no proper law enforcement, has no structure, doesn't have the constitution like we have in America. So you import people from the third world. What do you expect? If you just look on X or Twitter, you can find plenty of people who come from that heritage or come from that background who will say that they do actually sacrifice pets. That's just a thing Haitian migrants do. They do eat animals. And on top of that, they do sacrifice pets for witchcraft, which is very scary because that is something we haven't seen before in America. And we're just bringing all these people that we have no clue what their background is, just come right through. And not only just come right through, we will provide you with all resources, everything for free off taxpayer funds. This is nothing that the American people agreed to nor voted on when they elected brain dead potato brains Joe Biden, aka the same with Kamala, because she's just as stupid as Biden is. I think she's even more dumb. But anyways, let's get the interview started. Please like, comment, subscribe. I am hosting this from my YouTube channel, so if you are from X or Facebook watching, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. It is titled Politics and Life. We are 50 subscribers away from 500, the magical 500 number. So I'd appreciate it if you guys went to my YouTube channel and subscribe. Let's get it started, y'all. Let's see the spanking that Vance is about to put on CNN's Dana Bash.
Now is Republican Vice Presidential nominee J.D. Vance, who represents Ohio in the U.S. Senate. Thank you for being here, sir. So the mayor of Springfield, Ohio, Rob Rue, said, quote, all these federal politicians that have negatively spun our city, they need to know they're hurting our city. And it was their words that did it.
So right off the bat, she's already telling J.D. Vance and the conservatives that have been speaking about this and bringing the topic to light that words is the reason that's causing all the issue. Words. Not importing the third world, not letting these criminals just run havoc. And I've actually heard a lot of people out of Ohio saying that these people are terrible at driving and that they're just crashing all over the place. None of that's causing violence or havoc. It's your words, J.D. Vance. This is just ridiculous that this is considered journalism in the year 2024.
Before Donald Trump talked about eating dogs and cats on a debate stage, it was you, Senator, who first elevated this baseless rumor. These are your constituents. So why are you putting them at risk by continuing to spread claims about Haitian immigrants, despite officials in your state saying that there's no evidence and pleading for you to stop?
First off, we got to think of the root of all this. Why would people just make this up? I don't think Americans would literally go out of their way just to say, hey, I'm going to think of the first craziest thought that pops in my head. These people are eating animals. It came from seeing something. Who would you rather believe? Fake news, CNN, or fake politicians that don't give a shit about you? Or would you believe the people who are literally coming out, which you could see the videos, it's all over Twitter and X, that they are saying this is happening?
Well, Dana, first of all, what's putting the residents of Springfield at risk, which was a town completely ignored by the American media until Donald Trump and I started surfacing some of these concerns, is that they can't afford housing. They can't afford health care. The schools have been overwhelmed. The hospitals have been overwhelmed. And they're overwhelmed because Kamala Harris allowed 20,000 Haitian migrants to get dropped into a small Ohio town of about 40,000 people, and it's completely overwhelmed the services. Now, you ask, why have I talked about some of the things that I've been talking about? Let me just say this. My constituents have brought approximately a dozen separate concerns to me. 10 of them are verifiable and confirmable, and a couple of them I talk about because my constituents are telling me firsthand that they're seeing these things. So I have two options, Dana. I can ignore them, which is what the American media has done for years to this community, or I can actually talk about what people are telling me. And of course, many of the things that the media says are completely baseless have since been confirmed. For example, I was told, Dana, that by the American media, that it was baseless that migrants were capturing the geese from the local park pond and eating them. And yet there are 911 calls from well before this ever became a viral sensation of people complaining about that exact thing happening. So my attitude is listen to my constituents. Sometimes they're going to say things that people don't like, but they're saying things that people don't like because their town has been overwhelmed, and it's my job to try to fight for them and to
protect. She doesn't even care about like that the people are coming to him that are worried. She's just going right back to the script. She's looking down at her talking points. She's going to say the same thing. There's no proof. There's no proof. Well, guess what? There was no proof to Russia hoax. You pushed that. There was no proof that the Russian or that the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation. You pushed that. Or how about the good people on both sides? You guys pushed that. Or should I just keep on going on? Because I could do this shit all day. So it's very laughable that Dana Bash is saying there's no proof. Bring us this proof or it's not credible when you guys have been pushing conspiracy theories for the past, almost 12 years at this point about Trump and his family on a daily basis.
Protect them. Kamala Harris opened the border, and now these people are suffering. That's what I'm focused on, Dana.
Senator, I have to go through several things that you just said. The Clark County Sheriff and the Ohio Department of Natural Resources reviewed 11 months of 911 calls. They only identified 2 instances of people alleging Haitians were taking geese out of parks. They found 0 evidence to.
So let's get this straight. Because they don't have calls on the record in regards to call-ins at a police station, that means that none of the Haitian migrants, which we recently have been covering, that means that none of this is true. That's her credible source.
Substantiate those claims. Also, other evidence that you have talked about, even you've retweeted alleged evidence, are unsourced social media videos from a different city, apparently no connection to Haitians. And this is from a conservative activist who offered a $5,000 reward for such things. And then going just backly to the schools and the hospitals and so forth being overwhelmed, nobody is disputing that the town of Springfield, Ohio, needs help. But you're not.
The problem with you, Dana Bash, you hideous looking woman, is you would rather play these gotcha moments and, oh, it's not true because this conservative was willing to pay for proof, instead of actually going to these areas and speaking to the people about what they actually see. They don't want you to get focused on the number one problem in our country, and that is the border, because the more they try to distract you and say that everyone's lying, the less you know. But the problem is no one's buying what CNN's dishing out anymore. So, I mean, this is just laughable that they still think these days that people with brains actually believe them. I always say the people that listen to CNN are just NPCs. They're sheeple, and they are not able to critically think for themselves. And it's very sad.
Not just a bystander. You're the senator from Ohio. So instead of saying things that are wrong and actually causing the hospitals, the schools, the government buildings to be evacuated because of bomb threats, because of the cats and dogs.
She just said it's his fault.
Why not actually be constructive in helping to better integrate them into the community? Because there are a lot of employers there who say that the Haitian workers are helping fill jobs that they need desperately filled.
Hey, you CNN propagandists, how about you give those empty jobs that need to be filled to homeless Americans? You ever think about that? This woman is just brain dead. It's amazing people this stupid with that kind of face are news journalists on a big media platform.
Dana, first of all, let me just respond to a couple of things that you said, but I want to start with something you said, which I think is frankly disgusting and is more appropriate for a Democratic propagandist than it is for an American journalist. There is nothing that I have said that has led to threats against these hospitals. These hospitals, the bomb threats and so forth, it's disgusting. The violence is disgusting. We condemn it. We condemn all violence.
Senator, this happened.
She wouldn't even let him
after you and
finish.
President Trump were on the debate stage, said that cats and dogs were being eaten.
This is the problem with these liberal propagandist fake news pussies. They will never let conservatives finish the thought or like what they're trying to say. But if it's a Democrat, for example, Kamala Harris, they will let them lie 24/7 while never correcting their statements. And let me tell you, everything Democrats say is a lie.
You asked a question, Dana, and I'm going to go ahead and answer it. What we have said is that this town has suffered terribly under the policies of Kamala Harris. Now, you just accused me of inciting violence against the community when all that I've done is surface the complaints of my constituents, people who are suffering because of Kamala Harris's policies. Are we not allowed to talk about these problems because some psychopaths are threatening violence? We can condemn the violence on the one hand, but also talk about the terrible consequences of Kamala Harris's open border on the other hand. Now, let me just fact check a couple of other things that you said, Dana, because it's important. You said that all of these migrants are in the country legally. They're in the country through what's called temporary protective status. Right. That is when Kamala Harris waved a magic amnesty wand, taking people and giving them legal status. That is not to say that they're here legally. That is a terrible indictment of her amnesty policies that have further opened the border and further caused terrible migration into this country.
It's not illegal to provide all these resources off our taxpayer funds while you're allowing the third world, importing the third world into America without our consent. This woman is a disgusting human being.
You might not agree with the policy, and obviously you don't, which is totally fair and legitimate. There are policy disagreements all the time, but the fact is it is the law because President Biden and Vice President Harris are. But I don't want to frankly go down this conversation about policy,
Dana,
because
you made a point. You don't. I agree. You don't want to talk about policy.
No, what I want to talk about.
Yes, I love that he said that. This is right. This has nothing to do with policy. These libtards don't like to talk about policy because they don't bring any policy to the table. They are for open borders. They are for grooming your kids. They are for controlling every aspect of your life. They are literally, again, I'm going to repeat myself, importing the third world countries over our border while providing them all the resources that we should be providing for our homeless veterans or homeless Americans on the streets. And instead of talking about these serious problems, they want to do a gotcha moment and try to say, why did you say Haitians are eating pets? Well, because Haitians come from a country where they use it for witchcraft. They will use these pets for sacrifice. It took me 10 seconds to dig into if this is true or not. And then there's a lot of conservatives coming out saying, hey, we came from this country. Like, this is our heritage. We grew up there. And they do eat animals. They use them for sacrifice. They use them for witchcraft. That is something that is true.
Instead of about the fact,
Senator,
that
it was your distraction.
Granted amnesty.
You were the one who started talking about eating dogs and cats. You were the one who brought this up. The president said it to 60 million people.
And I talked about it because you were ignoring this community. My constituents talked about it.
Have you been to
my
Springfield?
Responsibility to surface their concerns when the American media.
Have you been to Springfield?
Dana, I've been to Springfield probably 100 times in my life.
How about
I've
recently,
taken my children
since
to
you've
get
heard
ice
this?
cream at Young's Jersey Dairy.
Have you heard recently since you've gotten these calls?
He literally just told you a couple minutes ago, you fake ass news propagandist, that his constituents, the people that live in his state, have been calling him, telling him what's happening. And all you're doing is saying, no, it's not true. No, it's not true. You're inciting violence by saying that these illegals that are illegally here are doing this.
Have I been in the last 4 days?
No,
I'm
talking
haven't been
about
in the last 4 days, but I've
since
talked
you've
to a lot
gotten
of
these
people
calls
in
from the
Springfield,
constituents.
Dana, and they're telling me this stuff is happening. Dana, would you like to ask me questions and then let me answer them, or would you like to debate me on these topics? I noticed that when you had Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, You gave them multiple choice
Yep.
answers to the questions that you asked, and you allowed them to answer the questions. I'm happy to be here to talk about policy, but if you're going to interrupt me every single time that I open my mouth, then why am I even doing this? So please ask a question, and I'd ask you to be polite enough to let me answer it.
Yes, I am. And I think that if Kamala Harris and Tim Walz were making unsubstantiated claims that had racist undertones about people eating dogs and cats, and they didn't answer the questions about that, then I would have similar interactions with them. As you know, I am very grateful that you come on the show, as I am for other Republicans. But this is something that you're hearing from.
This is just amazing that in this whole 17-minute conversation, the first 8 minutes almost, this is all they've been talking about. This little gotcha moment where she's saying this isn't true about the Haitian migrants. Why don't you talk about the open border that these illegals are killing and guns, drugs, kids in? No, don't talk about that. Don't talk about the inflation. Don't talk about how we're on the verge of nuclear war. Just let's talk about you and Trump at his debate saying that there's Haitians doing this and that. This is just ridiculous that this is considered journalism.
From constituents. I did a lot of reporting. I talked to people in Ohio over the weekend, and they're really worried about these claims. The policies, yes, I am agreeing with you that what I heard is that there is concern that these migrants, there's a lot of them, and the integration isn't being done fast enough and well enough. And that's a totally legitimate conversation. But there are other conversations that are happening, like Aiden Clark, who is an 11-year-old boy who was killed in Springfield last year. It was a car accident involving a Haitian immigrant.
Okay.
You said that he was murdered. His father said that's not true. It was an accident. Here's what.
So because it was an accident, that means it's not murder. If you accidentally murder someone, that's still murder, you idiot. Oh, this one, amazing. This amazes me.
He said to you.
So messed up she's doing this.
Politicians, Bernie Moreno, Chip Roy, J.D. Vance, and Donald Trump. They have spoken my son's name and used his death for political gain. This needs to stop now. They are not allowed, nor have they ever been allowed to mention Aiden Clark from Springfield, Ohio. I will listen to them one more time to hear their apologies.
Senator, he's asking for you to apologize.
I'm sorry for your son's death, but for you to compare and say that they're not allowed to speak about what's happening in their communities because someone was killed by an immigrant by accident, how does that even make sense? What does him speaking about current issues have to do with your son? Sorry that happened. That is tragic. But what does that have to do with that situation at all? They prop these people up to try to make them feel bad because they lost someone tragic, which is a sad situation, but it's sad how they use it and prop these people up to try to make conservatives wrong when all they're doing is talking about what's happening. They do not want you to know what's happening. They do not want us to be speaking, which is why we have to thank Elon Musk, even though I have my disagreements with him, that he is allowing free speech on a platform so we can find out stuff like this. Because if we didn't have Twitter owned by Elon Musk and it was like it was before, we wouldn't be finding any of the stuff out that we're finding out on a daily basis that is being exposed 24/7.
Will you?
Dana, first of all, my heart goes out to the Clark family, and I don't bring their son's name up because they've clearly expressed a preference for politicians to not bring their son's name up. I wish them all the best. I can't believe what kind of a tragedy they've experienced, but I'm still going to keep on talking about what the migrants have done to Springfield, Ohio, and what Kamala Harris's open border has done to Springfield, Ohio. And Dana, I think this illustrates the entire contrast between how we're trying to go about this debate and how a lot of the Democrats are trying to go about this debate. They're talking about 12 Proud Boys marching in Springfield, Ohio. They're talking about the frankly fake debunkings of a lot of these stories that are out there. I'm talking to my constituents and I'm hearing terrible things about what's going on in Springfield, and Kamala Harris's open border policies have caused these problems. The hospitals are overwhelmed, Dana. The schools are overwhelmed. The local services are completely overwhelmed. You have people who can't afford housing. Homelessness has gone up. Murders are up by 81%.
Yeah, he's speaking all these facts on what Americans are dealing with, especially the crime crisis, which is just out of control, including in my state of California. And instead of speaking about these very important voter issues, which we should be voting on, they're talking about the same thing. We are going on now 10 minutes out of the 17-minute interview where the whole conversation has been wrapped around this Haitian migrant topic. It's ridiculous.
Because of what Kamala Harris has allowed to happen to this small community. I'm going to keep on talking about that. Now, of course, we can criticize violence. We can also still talk about the problems that are happening in Springfield, and we should be able to do both those things simultaneously, Dana.
Just once and for all, you again started this in part by saying,
here we go. He just said we should be talking about the problems, the table talk problems. And instead of being like, you're right, yeah, let's start talking about some policy, she just repeats the same thing. She's going to bring up how Donald Trump spread misinformation, blah, 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 blah. This woman is a moron.
That at which Donald Trump repeated on the debate stage that, and he didn't say anything about the policies that you're talking about. He just said Haitians are eating dogs and cats. Can you affirmatively say now that that is a rumor that has no basis with evidence?
Dana, the evidence is the firsthand account of my constituents who are telling me that this happened. And by the way, I've been trying to talk about the problems in Springfield for months, and the American media ignored it. There was a congressional hearing just last week of angel moms who lost children because Kamala Harris let criminal migrants into this country who then murdered their children. The American media totally ignored this stuff until Donald Trump and I started talking about cat memes. If I have to,
but it wasn't just a meme,
create stories so that the American media actually pays attention to the suffering of the American people, then that's what I'm going to do, Dana, because you guys are completely letting Kamala Harris coast. You had one interview with her. You talk about pushing back against me, Dana. You didn't push back against the fact that she cast the deciding vote on the Inflation Reduction Act, which is why a lot of Americans can't afford food and housing.
You just said that you're creating
a story. Public policy.
Sorry, you just said that you're creating the story.
What's that, Dana?
You just said that this is a story that you created. So the eating dogs and cats thing is not.
We are creating. Dana, it comes from first-hand accounts from my constituents. I say that we're creating a story, meaning we're creating the American media focusing on it. I didn't create 20,000 illegal migrants coming into Springfield thanks to Kamala Harris's policies. Her policy.
He's smashing this woman. See, the problem is with these left-wing propagandists at CNN, they are really stupid people. So if you come in with a very intelligent, smart, fact-based man like JD Vance, who knows his shit, you're going to make this woman look like a complete retard. And right now, she looks like the retard that she is. There's been zero policy speaking about, zero things about the immigration crisis, zero things about inflation, zero things about the drugs coming into her country. Instead, this whole conversation, again, I'm going to repeat myself because she likes to do it. Whole conversation is about cat and dogs being eaten by Haitians, which they do in where they're from.
Did that, but yes, we created the actual focus that allowed the American media to talk about this story and the suffering caused by Kamala Harris's policies.
Do you condemn the Proud Boys, even if it's just 12, even if it's just one marching in Springfield?
I'm so sick of people bringing up the Proud Boys. What exactly about the Proud Boys is so bad? That they stand for their flag, that they love Trump. They have never done anything racist or bad towards anyone, but because they were anti-democratic and pro-First Amendment, pro-America, pro-Constitution, pro the republic that we live in, because it's not a democracy, they are the worst people in the world. This is just a fucking joke of an interview.
Dana, I condemn all white supremacists. I'm obviously not. I'm married to a non-white person. I don't like these people, but I think that we have to keep our focus not on 12 marchers going down the street, but on the fact that thousands of residents have had their lives destroyed by Kamala Harris's policy. I find this very unusual, Dana, that the American media is more interested in a bunch of losers marching down the street than they are in the fact that Kamala Harris has made these people's lives worse. I'm not talking about 12 Proud Boys. I'm talking about 40,000 residents, 40,000 constituents of mine, many of whom can't afford housing and food because of Kamala Harris's open border. That is what I want to focus the media's attention on. We're going to keep on doing it because I think the American people deserve a government that puts their interests first. Can I make just one more final point about this, Dana?
Yes, please.
You've heard a lot of the media focusing on every possible distraction from the story in Springfield. You've heard them focus on these Proud Boys marches.
Because they're all distractions. They think we're too stupid to know the truth, or if we do find the truth out, they will be exposed. They don't know that they've already exposed themselves the past 8 years, 10 years at this point, since Trump's been in the political spotlight. They have been lying daily, every day. And could you imagine if media was treated down the middle fair, 50-50? I feel like it's like at a 98% ratio for the Democrats and 2% for Trump. And it's still as close as it is. Could you imagine if the media was fair, or if this stupid ass woman actually asked fair question and also asked fair questions on both sides? We'd be in a way different place today than we are.
You've heard just in this interview, Dana, the suggestion that because some psychopath is calling it a bomb threat, somehow we have to then ignore 40,000 Springfieldians who are having their lives worsened by Kamala Harris's policies.
Yeah, that's
well, what is the implication, Dana? I actually love to have this conversation right now, live on air.
Right.
What is the implication when you say you calling out these problems has caused a bomb threat? You accuse me of causing a bomb threat. Doesn't that mean you should shut up about the residents of Springfield? Don't you realize you're engaged in basic propaganda to silence the concerns of American citizens?
I was quoting the actual man.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is what you call a fatality from Mortal Kombat. She's mind-boggled because she doesn't have a brain. She has Trump derangement syndrome, now Vance derangement syndrome. She's been read these talking points. They're probably in her ear screaming, "Get off the show, get off the show. He's making you look like the retard you are. Get off the show." Can't wait to see what her response is to that, because that was a genius response. He is pretty much saying, you guys are all fake news. I will continue not to listen to you. Instead, I will listen to the American voters, which is exactly how it should have been, especially in regards to media, who are supposed to report the true news to the people. And instead, CNN does the complete opposite.
Mayor of Springfield, Ohio, begging after the bomb threats.
Here we go
begging federal officials, to please stop putting negative attention on his city. And I'm not talking about the policies. I'm not talking about the very real challenges that Springfield has. I'm talking about baseless rumors about Haitians eating dogs and cats. And that, after that was said on a debate stage, that is when these bomb threats started. And that is a fact. Senator, I just want to move on. I have two other quick issues separate from this that I want to talk to you about.
Dana,
go ahead.
Again,
please go ahead.
I think this is actually an important conversation.
Okay.
Look, the Springfield mayor, he's dealing with a lot of terrible things. I certainly sympathize with the guy, and we're going to try to help him out. But he did not accuse me of inciting a bomb threat. He just didn't. And if we're going to take the firsthand accounts of people who are on the ground in Springfield, why don't you bring on some of the people on your program who say that the migrants are eating their pets? You're applying a double standard here. You're saying if one person accuses JD Vance, I'm going to take that person's word as the gospel truth.
You have somebody
even if you misrepresent it. If you have another person who's saying they're eating the cats, you're going to completely ignore them, attack them, silence them, and harass them. That double standard.
And we already know why that is. We know why they don't report on things like this, because they know that it's not going to help Kamala's campaign. And so that's why I call them propagandists, because if they were reporting on the news, we wouldn't need to be having conversations like this. They should be going to where the people are that are saying these things and interviewing them. And I've actually seen YouTubers recently go out and actually talk to these people, and they have multiple occasions confirmed that this is indeed true, that this is really happening. But that's the problem. That's the whole problem. The more you find out about the stuff, the more eyes get brought to the immigration crisis. And then that means the more people are going to wake up. And you can't have that, because if you have a whole awake, not woke population, you can't brainwash them. They won't believe your lies, because like I always say, once you go awake. Once you become awake, you will never go back woke, because at that point, you realize everything they've been telling you is a lie. So how could you believe someone that has been lying to you about everything? And that's why it blows my mind when it came to COVID, why everything that was being said, people just, all right, just sign up like a little sheep. Not me. No, thank you.
Is why that people don't trust the media and why we're not talking about public policy 51 days out from presidential election.
Okay. If you have somebody you want to tell us about who has proof that somebody ate their cat, of course we want to hear that. We certainly have.
Sorry that I keep on pausing it. No, he doesn't need to send you anything, because what you guys will go out and do is attack him, because that's what fake news leftists do. When someone comes out, they will attack you, they will drill you and call you a liar instead of questioning you. Your job, not Vance's, is to go out as a journalist and to actually speak to these people. So no, Dana Bash, I am challenging you to get off your lazy ass at CNN and you go interview the people, since you're the one that keeps saying it's not true. You have to prove that it isn't true. How about that?
Had no evidence that that is actually something that happened. And I just want to say, I have not accused you of anything. I am quoting the mayor who said, after these bomb threats, federal politicians are negatively spinning our city. They need to know they are hurting our city. It was their words that did it. Okay, that I'm quoting him. And it seems to be a
Dana,
cause and effect.
Roll the tape. You just accused me of inciting a bomb threat. There's no evidence of this. I condemn violence and threats of violence. We should be able.
Unlike the Democrats, who don't actually condone violence or white supremacy, because they are indeed the true racists on the left,
to do that and also still talk about what's going on in Springfield.
I'm glad to hear that you condemn it. That is very important. We had a lot of other issues to get to, but I really hope that you do come back so we can talk about other issues. Senator, thank you.
Oh, wow. All right, guys. So I am going to actually link another video that just was released today of a man actually going into, I guess, really good detail on it actually is being true about these Haitian migrants eating people. So I kind of wanted to show you guys that reaction. It says proof of illegal migrants eating people's pets. So let's hear what he has to say.
Ohio. I had a comedy show in Springfield, Ohio last night. I got to talking to some of the audience members. One of the audience members works at an animal clinic. She told me there's been a massive amount of animals going missing, and there has been reports of cats being eaten. However, David Muir of ABC News said it wasn't true because the city council manager denied it. David Muir and the city council manager are lying. The reason why: the city council manager owns multiple rental properties in Springfield that he is renting out to illegal immigrant Haitians, and he's making a lot of money on it. So it's in his best interest to cover it up. The mayor is also covering it up. It doesn't look good for the city. So the answer is yes. Pussy is getting eaten in Springfield. So if you don't want your pussy eaten, don't go to Springfield.
Also, not only don't go to Springfield, stop voting Democrat, because these are the idiots that are bringing in these people that we have no clue their background, no clue their thoughts. They could be those idiots that wish death on America or burn the American flag. We don't want people like that in our country. They can kick rocks. And if you're one of those trans weirdos who loves putting the rainbow flag up, go move somewhere else. Same with the Palestine flag. I am sick of these cocksuckers who are not from America, or if they are from America on the left and they hate America for what they stand for, go move to these countries that you're so obsessed with, that you're protesting for. Because us Americans who are barely getting by, who love our country, who stand for our flag, we're sick of people like you. We are ready for America First policies. We need no wars. We need peace in the Middle East. We need energy independence. We need a secure border. We need to fund our police and military. And that's pretty much it. America First all day. I hope you guys enjoyed the reaction in the video. Please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know in the comment section what you thought of JD Vance's responses. I thought he demolished Dana Bash, but that's my opinion. Hope you guys have a good day. Peace.